Welcome back into another episode of the Star V podcast alongside Joe Bulovas. I'm your host, Billy Derrick, and we are live again here on a Monday, not recording on a Sunday. We'll put this out on a Monday here on the Believe Podcast Network. This week, doing things a little different. We've had mostly football guests. We've had players, former players. Landon Farley, maybe the biggest fan we've had on so far. But this week, we'll talk a little football, but a lot of baseball today with Mark Pyburn, former student manager with the baseball team, local guy. We go way back, known each other for a long time. Been trying to do this, and glad we're able to get on. Obviously, had experience under Tim Corbin last couple of years, working with CAA now with Jimmy Sexton, doing some good things there. Went to NBA, so some connections there as well. But really, I mean, Mark, you've been in Nashville, and obviously going to Vanderbilt. I'm sure that helped with a lot of your connections, but. I mean, Joe, I call this guy Mr. Connections. Like, me and my brother joke about it too. Like, there's not a guy, like, when it comes to going to a Vandy game or, NBA, anything in Nashville, like this guy's got a ticket. He's got the key to the city, I feel like. But
not only does he have a ticket, he's got the inside access.
Oh, you're speaking too highly. I mean, that sounds like the Derrick family in a nutshell right there. That's what it sounds like.
No, but Mark, appreciate it, man. And we'll kind of rotate questions. And I think, obviously we'll hit a lot of baseball. Definitely some football, and you've seen the athletic program, shoot up here in the last couple of years since you've been there. But I want to start first with how you got the opportunity to become a student manager. Obviously, started your college career at Center, which is a program has shot up as well. Their facilities are unbelievable. Played at NBA, of course. Just kind of take us through, I guess, maybe your last year at NBA, and then obviously playing at Center, but then the opportunity to join Vanderbilt baseball, which we've talked about it, just that opportunity and how special. I remember hearing about it, and I was like, I was freaking out. I was like, no way. But tell us how that sort of came about.
Yeah, man. Well, first, thank both of you guys, Billy, Joe. Appreciate you guys. Obviously, this is something that I've tuned into weekly, and y'all have done such a cool job. And the way you guys talk about Vanderbilt athletics, it's apparent, and the Vandy diehards are huge fans. So I speak on behalf of a lot of the Commodore Nation here when I say all this stuff. So thank you guys for all of this. No, I mean, going back to my whole story, from Nashville, went to NBA, had a whole lot of fun over there. Mama's Boy Academy is what it's coined as, but it's a lot of my best friends to this very day, and honestly, it's a lot of Vanderbilt fans as well. So it's an amazing place, and I will only speak highly of it whenever I get the opportunity. But yeah, I mean, you wanted to talk about my senior year. It was a whole lot of fun, man. It was a year where actually in basketball, my senior year, we won the state championship. And we played against Brentwood Academy. And I told people yesterday, I was very fortunate that Tyler Tanner was 14 years old in that state championship matchup, because if he were to play, a little bit older and more mature, the score would have been a little bit different. So that's how senior year went from a basketball standpoint. Obviously, baseball was my bread and butter. Played baseball throughout the whole time. Was fortunate enough to go play baseball at Center College, as you mentioned, Billy. And yeah, it was a place where I wanted to go just because academics were incredible, but obviously the facilities were equally as nice, and everyone kind of shared the same mission. We met a lot of really good people over there. More on my story for everyone else that's tuning in is my dad passed away actually my junior year, and so I knew that my mom and my four sisters and myself, I wanted to, come back to Nashville to be with them, to be around my mom and my sisters and help wherever I can. But I also knew I wanted to be around Tim Corbin. I wanted to be at Vanderbilt. I wanted to be in a place that, was a dream school. As growing up, Billy, I remember being kids playing wiffle ball, acting like we were at Hawkins Field and whatnot. So to go there and be a part of it was very special. And I had plenty of conversations with Corbs and everything prior to it. I was actually wanting to play, and then I didn't think I was going to be able to travel, and that was a big experience. Joe, I know you can speak to that as a collegiate athlete. Traveling is probably the best part about the whole thing, going to all these different cities and seeing the fan bases and whatnot. So I wanted to make the decision of being a student assistant and everything. And that is the best decision I've made to this very day. And I can talk for years about Corbs and the impact he's made on my life. But most importantly, I mean, what he's done for everyone on that campus, what he's done for sports in its totality. He's a walking legend, and honestly, he's one of those people that get me emotional anytime I get to talk about him, because he means that much to me. So that's kind of my whole story, man. But yeah, it's been a full 360-degree circle that I've been a part of, and it's been a really big blessing the whole time.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so Yeah, I was about to say, who the heck's up after that one? That was, I mean, you just gave everything in a nutshell, so we're gonna have to dig a little bit for these questions.
Yeah.
But man, so flash forward now, I still remember when you and I got coffee
Yep.
at Starbucks,
Yep.
and you were just about to start at CAA, man, and I was over the moon for you then, still over the moon for your opportunity now, man. Sounds like things are really hitting the ground, in full swing here for you. But man, what since starting with CAA, how is the mentorship been from Jimmy all the way through the organization been to like how has your development been and how has that mentorship from so many great individuals in that building really shaped you?
Yeah, man. No, it's a great question. And CAA is, I am so fortunate to be here. And I got, very, very familiar with it just being a sports fan and seeing,
No
CAA
doubt.
that's the best. They represent the best in the game. They represent the best coaches in the game. Hence the reason why Jimmy's doing Jimmy things here. But yeah, I mean, I can speak on so many different levels of it. The culture here at CAA, it's different. And honestly, it's eerily similar to the culture that I had with Corbs. It's, everyone wants everyone to succeed. They call it an ego industry. Here at CA, you don't really see that as much. People really want you to succeed. And so I think what's been really cool is watching, so many different people do it from different levels. So Howie Newchild, the head of CA Sports, he is an incredible leader. And we've had plenty of instances where he has, given a speech in front of the whole group and whatnot. And, it's off the cuff. And that's the guy that you look to. That's the leader that you want to have. His two daughters actually graduated with me from Vanderbilt. They were on the lacrosse team there as well. So he is a Vandy diehard now. We always love to chop it up about Vandy sports together, but he's a huge influence, and obviously he's one of the more powerful names and figures in sports as well. But Jimmy Sexton, I mean, he's one of the greatest agents to ever do it for a reason. I mean, the way this guy goes about his business, the discipline he has. I tell everyone whenever his name gets brought up around conversations with people. I'm 23 years old. Jimmy is, 63, 64, something like that. Jimmy, I'm sorry if you're not that. But his work ethic is unbelievable. I mean, he doesn't stop. He's always, thinking. He's always wanting to know what the next move is, to do the next thing. He's incredible. He really is. And he's definitely a lead by example type of guy. He's one of those people, man. Like, I am so blessed to know at the age that I do, because it's one of the things where I can just sit on my hands. I can just watch this man work and seeing how he goes about his whole business, and obviously the amount of success he's had. It's been very rewarding to see, and it goes to show why he's the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more on top of that? Okay, so speaking to that culture, man, I noticed that pretty quickly when you and Ellis are going to get, a curls till failure workout at during the lunch break over there.
Yeah.
Not too many cultures have that when you're working, I guess you'd say like in an office space or something like that. I know we're not exactly going to do power cleans at 1 p.m. over at Raymond James, but talk me through how it's been, with Ellis, because for those of you out there that are going to watch this, and Ellis Ponder was our director of football operations at Alabama when I was there, did a phenomenal job. He calls me Bruno Mars. My first name's Bruno, so like he's a very dry humor guy. Heck, you'd see him with a cigar in his mouth unlit sometimes, but he's one of the greatest guys out there. Did a phenomenal job at Alabama, so it really makes sense that he's at CAA. And just want to kind of touch base on that. So how are you and Ellis, how did y'all's relationship kickstart so hot that, you guys are getting curls till failure during your lunch hour, and then, just running it over at the YMCA, because you guys are getting after it.
I love it, man. No, first off, from doing curls till failure, we need your weight room program, Joe. Because if anyone sees Joe, that he makes any size shirt, he makes it look small. So Joe does his thing over there, and I need to take notes on him. No, but to speak to your question, Ellis he's my best friend in this office. He is an incredible person. He's all business all the time. I mean, there's no Joe, as you know, there's no sugarcoating. I mean, being Saban's right hand.
I wonder where you got that from, dude.
Yeah, I was about to say, being Saban's right hand man for however long he did it. Not only does he have stories, forever, but he knows the grounding. He knows how it needs to be done. He knows what it looks like. He's so in tune with every decision he makes, every conversation he has. It's very routine. It's just he's a very unique person, and like I said earlier, he's my best friend in the office. And there's a high level of discipline and that he has, and obviously, the culture at Alabama that you have, it was an easy switch for him to come over here to CAA. So bonding the Nick Saban, culture to my Tim Corbin background, it's a really evident thing how he and I hit it off so quickly, so well. But yeah, we started. I want to say maybe the week of with each other, a week in between each other. So, we were the two new guys here, but again, like the cultures that we came from, it made it such an easy bond. And yeah, I mean, he's my best friend in this office, and he's the reason why CAA is going to have so much success moving forward too.
Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't know, if you're listening, Ellis Ponder, former associate athletics director and football COO, basically for Alabama football under Nick Saban. Obviously, now
he did that for like 8. I think he might have been in that role for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I feel like he, because I did a little research going back. Mark, would you say he was kind of the first, maybe not GM, but like head business guy? Because now everybody has either a CEO type. I mean, there's all kinds of different operations guys around programs, but to me, I mean, he may have been that first guy to like start thinking about some of the business operations side of football, more of like, hey, this is where the game's going. And he's, you would think helped Saban with that, move the game, move their style forward a little bit. I don't know if you've talked a little bit about that, but to me, that's kind of what I think of it with him. And then obviously you being in the business side, of sports too, you've kind of saw that transition, especially, with Coach Corbin, in the NIL world at Vanderbilt too.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Ellis, what I always tell people is the way his brain works is he's ahead of everyone. He really is. And he's got such a humble integrity about him. Like I told him, he's got stories. He has never said one thing that is of, him bragging in any sort. And I mean, like if I worked for Coach Saban, I would be like, yeah, I'd want to say these things there. He doesn't ever talk about it. Like you've got to ask him those questions for him to say something. So yeah. And to answer what you were talking about, I would say he was ahead of the game with everything. He was, with the way Alabama was at that time when he was doing that role, he was kind of having to do that. He was a jack of all trades. He had to do everything from an operational role, everything from a GM role. He was ahead of the game there. Hence the reason why he's now, on the agency front, and it's like he picked it up like nothing ever changed. So yeah, I mean, Ellis Ponder is such an unbelievable human being. He is an incredible addition to CAA, and I know I can speak on behalf of so many different people here, and he will always be the unsung hero wherever he goes. He doesn't ever want any attention. I know, Joe, you can relate to that too, just being around him. He doesn't want the attention at all. Actually, he probably wants to avoid any attention. But no, man, he's an unbelievable person, and I'm so happy to have him, call him one of my best friends, but also have him here in the office on a day-to-day basis as well.
That's crazy because his personality is that of like an 80-year-old man.
Hey, and his flexibility, if you can't tell yet too.
Oh my gosh, he had such a unique little warm-up routine in Malmore, man. But he'd be in there every day, same time, like a well-oiled machine. But the music gave it away. If it was like, Bob Seger, 60s, 70s Motown.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I know you're not that old. This is the type of stuff my dad would play in the car.
I love it, man. I love it. He's a good man. He really is.
Great dude.
But every good elite coach, legendary coach, I feel like needs sort of a right hand man like that.
Sure.
And every coach probably does. And I think, Mark, you mentioned Tim Corbin. Now, I remember watching. I think it was last year before a game, because I'd get there early, before most games, and I loved, one of my favorite things to do is get there, like, as a kid, like loved getting there an hour and a half early or so.
Nothing better.
It wouldn't matter the park you're in, is like, and most baseball diehards do. But I remember watching infield, and you were, and I had never noticed this because I guess I wasn't looking at it or wasn't there as early. I got there really early this day.
Right.
But Joe, I don't know if you knew, but in infield drills, before every game, Mark would be there tossing the ball back up to Corbin, catching the throws in from the outfield and into the infield. And I just I stopped and looked at that. I was like, Mark Pyburn is tossing balls up to Tim Corbin. Like, it took me back to, like you said, the backyard. Like, was there, I mean, I know there was a time where you pinch yourself, but like, what was that like? And I'm sure you had sort of a wake up moment of like, man, I'm at Vanderbilt right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, again, like I'm getting chills just even you saying that. The pinch me moments, they don't stop to this very day. I mean, I grew up having probably 3 different Tim Corbin signed baseballs on my bedroom dresser.
Yeah.
Like, this guy was the creme of the crop. Like, that's who you wanted to be. Every, T-ball coach, every little league coach, they always talked about Tim Corbin quotes, what it looks like, especially in Nashville. Like, that's just what it was. So to be around Corbs every single day, I mean, I can't, again, it gets me emotional just talking about it. I can't even explain how much he's changed my life. I mean, the biggest things that he teaches everyone is it's discipline. And I have stories for days about what he does, but he is the same guy every single day. It doesn't change. It's no matter what, he's the same guy. Another thing that I appreciate so much with Corbs about is he treats every person the exact same. It doesn't matter if you are, if you're a person, the custodian at Vanderbilt, doesn't matter if you're the Candace Lee, who cares? He's going to have the same conversation with you no matter what. And from a player perspective, he's going to treat every person the same, whether you're the starting shortstop or whether you're the third string, third baseman. It doesn't matter. And so I think that's something that speaks to him. But the pinch me moments, man, they never stop. I mean, I'll never forget. We're sitting there after we got that third out in the 9th inning against Ole Miss and won the SEC championship. And I'm running out on the field. I'm hugging all my best friends. We just won the SEC title game. And I'm looking at Corbs and I'm giving him a hug. I'm like, what is this life? Like, this is insane. Like, this is truly insane. But, he's such an influence on my life. He's such an incredible leader as a coach. I mean, the classroom sessions that I'm sure y'all have heard about from a distance, that's the best classroom thing that I've had. And for the people who don't know what a classroom is every day prior to when we would train, Corbs would sit us down in a classroom essentially and teach us 40 minutes about anything. This could cover from how to brush your teeth, and I'm not kidding when I say this. He would do a real life demonstration of what teeth brushing looked like, hence his pearly whites that he has. And it would also teach you how to be a man, what it takes, how to treat women, what it takes to be a leader at home, what it takes to be a leader at school. And the thing with him is he's just such an advocate for overall success. And I talked about that at the beginning of what it looks like. But with Corbs, you're not just an athlete if you go to Vanderbilt, especially with him. You're a student athlete. You're going to class. If you don't go to class, he's told teachers, email me if my players aren't in class. And if they don't go to class, they're going to miss practice. And we had plenty of guys miss trainings throughout the whole season. But that's what he does. It's a demand, and it's a cool thing because it goes to show why he's been so successful for so long at Vanderbilt. It really does.
Yeah, and Joe, I mean, him and Clark Lee, I think now people are seeing a lot of the similarities between Corbin and Coach Lee, and especially early on. You probably remember some of these moments. I know you've met Corbs, and I mean, I feel like anybody associated with Vanderbilt has, because, like you said, Mark, he doesn't care who you are. Like, fans, plenty of fans have relationships with him and things of that sort. But we were talking with Richie Hoskins about Corbin's speech to the team before the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
And, I think they put a video out about it too. But, Joe, I mean, early on, like, Clark knew that, hey, I need to tap into, the Tim Corbin effect, right? And I think now you're seeing that a little bit with the football program. You saw it before the game in Knoxville, and then you saw it on the field. But Richie was saying, hey, Corbin taught us, and really told us before the game, get back to the middle, right? And after Pavia's 2 interceptions, Richie noticed, he was like, holy crap, like, at halftime or in third quarter, like, we're literally like have gotten back to the middle in this game and have found a way to win. So, Joe, I mean, with your perspective of the football team, like, he's had a role not just with the baseball program success, but the athletic success as well.
Yeah. So you couldn't have said it any better, because when I first got to Vanderbilt, locker room was getting worked on. So we were in what we called the torture chamber of the stadium locker room. And guess what? We didn't have the names on our training uniform. So, like, we didn't have names on our shirts, shorts. We had Gildan. And if you're not familiar with that, go watch a TV commercial, because I think Blake Shelton's on that sucker. But you've got basically black t-shirts, not even a name on the back, not even a name on your shorts, like nothing identifiable. And so I believe, Mark, he got this from Corbin. And as younger guys in the locker room, we're like, man, what the heck's going on? Like, I get it, they find the grittiness, but, like, man, what if they lose my laundry? We have a fiasco in the football laundry bin. Like, they lose my whole loop. Like, well, I guess I got to go run back up to the facility, get the laundry, come back. So it was it was very different beginnings from what Vanderbilt football is now. Like, heck, we got this year coming in where they're getting like, here, Christmas just
Yeah.
came early again for you. Here's your big
Yeah.
ass, or, excuse my French there, this big old bag of gear, four shirts, four shorts, sweatsuits, whatever, shoes. Boy, we didn't have any of that. I didn't
Yeah.
get a single item of gear until like fall camp.
Right.
And I was like, well, I assume we're not going to just be wearing Gildan during the season, but you never know how this is going. Maybe it's, truly a blue collar mentality from the very ground up. But
Right.
I believe he got that from Corbin. So like, and then there was like no numbers, no names on anything, and you had to earn it. And that's how it was the first year and the second year, and then you got to earn your number. So walk us through a little bit what that was like, Mark, with under Corbin and the offseason and facilitating that new team that comes in.
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds eerily familiar to what we would have to go through in the fall. So I can 100% relate to you there. Yeah, it's a really cool thing with what he does. And in the moment, you're like, man, I just want to get this, I want to get that, I want to get that, because that's our generation. It's give me, give me, give me. That's the whole thing. And so the way Corbin he tries to change it is, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn the logo. You've got to earn the V. You've got to earn the star V. Whatever your time it was for you.
Yes, it was earn the V. You had to earn the V.
That's what it was. And so it gives you a completely different, not only perspective, but appreciation for what you have, because you're out there in like these oversized shirts with your number on it. You've got a hat that's literally just a gray hat that has the only thing on it is your sweat stains going through it. So you have this whole level different, a different level of appreciation. And so it's a really cool idea that Corbs has put part of the whole program and everything, and it's been a huge success with all the guys. You earn it. You earn the V. You earn the right to get into the locker room. We had ours when the years that I were there. We would be out in an outdoor tent, no matter if it was raining, no matter if it was sunny. It doesn't matter. You're in a tent. Like that's what you're in. That's your locker room. You're changing there. You're doing all your stuff there. So then that level of appreciation to once you have earned the V, once you have earned the right to go to the locker room, it's the biggest celebration as a team, and that really causes the unity of a team, and to set that, especially in a baseball season, to set the tone there from whatever day you would get the locker room, early October. Hence you're going to go the rest of the way to playing 50, 60 baseball games, hopefully more than that. If you start that team component in early October and it drags out the rest of the way, you're going to be a team that has so much success. Again, that's why Tim Corbin has done so well, is because he has this high level of demand for the players, but he also gets all of them to appreciate what they have and the reasons of why they got the things that they got as well.
Well, I think that's a great life lesson in general, because what you touched on is that instant gratification.
Yep.
Kids these days, it's like,
Give me.
What can you do for me? What can you give me right now?
Yeah, right.
And that's not always the way. That's not how it works in life.
Right.
Anything worth having comes with time and effort and dedication towards a bigger cause. And I love the aspect of gratitude.
Yep.
Because, boy, it's funny how in life, when you start slipping on the gratitude aspect, stuff starts to hit the fan a little bit more.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's just, human nature. It's to pull off the gas a little bit, but gratitude is such a characteristic that is something that isn't always at the forefront these days. And I love how it is for the baseball team at Vanderbilt, man. I love hearing that.
Totally. He's a man.
I'm interested too, like things like the Omaha Challenge too. Like, people like, that's something that's about the players, right? And those, I'm sure there's some stories there. But like, what was that like? What were some of the practices? We've heard stories on podcasts. I forget who it was, but I think who was it? Keambu Fentress and Harry Ray had a podcast, and I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they were telling some crazy like practice stories and just how competitive, some of the scrimmages. And that was before, I think, the 2019, and they were comparing, because Fentress played on the 14 team, if I'm not mistaken, and they were comparing, kind of which one's better. I may ask you that too, but like, what were some of those practices like, especially building up to the season? Because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of those, the fall is not hard. It is hard. It's not easy in that program. And Joe, it's probably like the spring with football too. Like, hey, the spring, those are some of the brutal.
Spring and summer can get real.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
I believe it.
more brutal days. But like, what were some of those like, Mark, where you're like, man, this, this isn't NBA, or like even maybe center, to that level anymore?
Yeah, I would say, well, first, everything is by the minute. Like your schedule, it's by the minute, and you're running. You're doing it. That's where it's different at the SEC level versus any other. I mean, I can't speak to the other Power 4 conferences, but I know from an SEC perspective, it is the routine of everything. It's by the minute, and you're on track, and you're gonna get so much done in such a period of time. Mm-hmm. And so what Corbs is so good at is the best players are going to play. Like he tells you that it doesn't matter what you're making. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what recruit you are. If you're the best player, you're going to play in the game. That's the nature of the beast. And so what he does is he creates such a competitive environment at these practices to where, and again, we call them training. So at these trainings, he makes such a difference. Like I think the best part about Corbs is not only does he, like I said earlier, he treats everyone the same. He will coach everyone. There are different styles that he knows how to coach each player. And that was such a cool thing to learn and watch from the outside looking in is how he goes around coaching specific people. And he tells everyone is like, hey, when y'all are on the field, like this is your playground. This is y'all's thing. Like that's y'all's time to enjoy it, have fun, whatever, which is true. But what he does is this competitive environment combined with player leadership it's second to none. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's, the older guys on the team, they demand the training to be run in a correct form. And if it's not, then that's not the Vanderbilt standard. That's not the Tim Corbin standard. That's not the Nashville standard. Like it's become that whole thing. So you can kind of get, stories just coming up to my mind is regardless of the training. I think one of the most memorable ones was last year. It was, I don't even know, probably 21 degrees, maybe. I don't even know if it was that.
And anybody who played baseball, like in high school, like those are the worst. I mean, because you can't, especially if you have batting gloves on, you got the aluminum bat, even BP is awful. And then if you're an infielder, it runs up on your hands. Like those cold practices are brutal.
Brutal. So exactly right, Billy. And, again, this is one of those probably similar spring practices, summer practices to you, Joe, where it's, excruciatingly hot in the Tuscaloosa weather, but rather in the Nashville cold. People know Nashville, we might not get a lot of snow, but it's going to get cold. So like I said, it was 21-ish degrees. Guys are all, everyone's out there, red cheeks, everyone's out there, got gloves on, blah, blah, blah. I watched Corbs come out. I thought he was going to wear a sweatshirt. I thought he was going to wear a coat. This man is out here in like the skinniest of long sleeve shirts ever, proving his point. It's like, I'm out here in this. I'm not complaining. Let's have this training right now. And that's a perfect example of what it looks like for him. He just is all about leadership. And when you see that and you're the 18-year-old freshman, it's like, dang, this 60, whatever he is, 63, 64-year-old guy is out here doing this. And like, what reason do I have to be? And if you're that kid, putting your hands underneath the heater, then man, get ready because you're about to get put on blast by everybody. So yeah, those are the big components as to, what trainings look like. It's just such a hyper competitive environment to where it elevates the entire group. And he doesn't care how old you are. He doesn't care like I said, the recruit. You saw last year, we had freshmen that were playing big time roles for the program. So I think that's why he's the GOAT of coaching. He's the GOAT of doing his thing at the baseball level, and he's elite for a reason. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like Joe, you can speak to it like in spring ball, but once you get into the season and you were talking about the player-led teams, at that point, like he lets to a degree, like lets the players do their thing. And he's talking, you can go back to the 2019 national title, even his post-game interview. It was all about the kids, and in those interview sessions, a lot of times he can be softer spoken, but like, it's about the kids, and it's not, there's never there's never any talk about, hey, we made this decision. It's like crediting, the staff. The staff deserves so much credit, but it's always about, hey, this guy had a huge home run and things like that. But when you're the dugout, man, it's also about like that culture, right? The team camaraderie. And at Vanderbilt, I've also heard some stories about, Corbin and some of the team, events and things like that, and bonding events. And, Joe, obviously you guys have done that with the football program, but like, without that, because you're spending, you guys are on trips, Mark, like how y'all are spending almost every hour together outside of you when you're sleeping, like you're gonna have to get close to some of those guys. You got to like them.
You gotta like them. Yeah. And to your point, Billy, like that's a reason why he builds this thing to perfection from a team standpoint, especially in today's NIL world where, you know, the transfer, everyone's transferring here. He still keeps that Vanderbilt mantra, Like he's so good at doing that. And I got to see that for a couple of years. But yeah, there's two things that bring that up to me. One, every year we go to a COE. It's like the big thing. I think they did something different this past year, but it's a team trip to a COE. There's no phones. No one has a phone. They collect your phones. We get on a Gray Line bus. We go out to a COE, Tennessee, and we are in these cabins. And basically, it's kind of you're in one cabin, and it's the entire team. So it's 40 guys, I guess, in a cabin. And so, to your point that you were talking about, if you aren't comfortable with these guys, find a way real quick. And those are the memories. Those are the moments that I'll always cherish because it's a little bit uncomfortable. You don't know anybody. You're whatever. If you're the freshman, then it's uncomfortable. But uncomfortable makes people become better people. So going on those types of the trips, that's where the team bonding started. And like I said, this was probably the second or third week of the school year. So we're still not even in fall trainings yet, and we're going out there and doing that. But the best thing about it is you all wake up the next morning. You don't know when you're going to wake up, but you find out real quickly because Tim Corbin, Scott Brown, all the guys are coming in there with these air horns. They're going to light the whole place up. Like that's your alarm. It's not like your ringtone on the phone or anything like that. It's air horns and it's in your ear because you're getting up. So that's something that I value so much is even though that there's so much change, and yes, it's adapt or get left behind type of deal. But even though there's so much change in this thing, Corbs has still done such an incredible job of keeping the main thing, and keeping the team. And no one's bigger than the program ever. No one is ever bigger than the program. And I know I can speak on behalf of all my teammates and everyone else at the program. Is the program always is over you, and you're always going to add more value to the program. So yeah, that all is really special, and the way he builds it, it's a masterpiece for sure.
Yeah.
Well, talking about, are you going, Billy, or me?
No, go ahead.
Well, talking about the camaraderie and the closeness of y'all's team, man.
Yeah.
You know, they the VandyBoys seem to have a pretty great tailgate going on Saturdays during the football seasons. And I mean, there's not like any guy missing. I mean, you can't miss them. They're all there having a great time. You roll up, they're like, hey, you want something to eat? You want something to drink? Like great cast of fellas to be around. And I think that's just a token to what you guys have done as a team over there is like, whatever we do, we're going to do it together, collectively, look out for one another. And that's what Coach Lee always kind of preached, at least starting off in the building the football programs. Like, hell, if we're going to have fun, we're going to have fun together. We're going to be safe about it. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be a class act, and we're going to be great ambassadors of our program that we have. And so you guys are certainly that. Seems like you guys have a great time, man. And I think that's the mark of a true camaraderie in a locker room is having guys doing things outside of football, baseball collectively together. It's fun to watch.
100%, man. No, and I'm sure you both can probably speak to this in your own respective realms, but the difference of being teammates with people, it's the coolest relationship there is. Like you go through hell and back with everyone. Billy, you just talked about in your previous question, you're traveling nonstop with these people. I mean, no telling how many days of school we were missing last year, especially toward the back half of the SEC season. I mean, we're always on the road, but that's what forms those special bonds. I mean, I got guys like some of my teammates they just got Jonathan Bass and I just got married. He had all the guys there. Carter Holt just got married. All the guys were out there. We've got so many different guys getting married. And it's cool when you go to these types of events because all the guys get back together. And like even last night, I'm out there hanging out with some of my former teammates, and we're all just having a good time, And it's like the bond never goes away because you've done everything together. You've experienced the highs of highs. You've also experienced the low of lows. So it's definitely, to your point, Joe. It's a really, really cool perspective, and it's a really cool thing that Vanderbilt has built. And I'm sure those boys down there in Tuscaloosa have done the same thing as well.
Well, in speaking of the highs, the lows, we talked before we hopped on here how you have seen, and you and Joe have seen not just the football or the baseball program, but throw both basketball programs in there. And really, I mean, pretty much you could say every sport now at Vanderbilt has been upgraded. And I don't think it's just because of NIL and the portal. That's a huge part, but the investment in the facilities, the coaches the coaches are unbelievable. If you look at the Vanderbilt's coaches right now, we used to talk about, I think, James Franklin, Corbin, and Stallings is kind of the golden era. And Melanie Balcom, I think, was there on the women's side. But like right now, I don't think there's been a better point to be a Vanderbilt athletics fan, whether you're like a big golf guy or, even, like the soccer team, I think was a number 1 seed in the tournament or something to that degree. But like that, you guys have seen that. Like Joe, look, you went 2-10 your first year, 5-7, built it up. Obviously 2-10, unfortunately, the next year. Mark, you've seen it with last year, number 1 overall seed, right in the baseball tournament, and then you guys have both seen the football program. But like, I guess, Mark, what my question would be, how have you seen the football program have an impact on, in your 2 years there, the overall athletic success and the culture of the students who may not have been big football fans coming in, but now everybody's going to the game because of what they've done?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and I'm glad you bring it up because people think I'm crazy when I say it, but in my opinion, Vanderbilt has become the new standard. Like across all sports, they from the big 3, baseball, football, basketball. I don't know another school that competes to the level that they do at all 3. Again, I'm speaking to this on whatever today is, January 11th, so that could be clipped and be changed, drastically.
Well, they said it on the broadcast yesterday in the basketball. I think between the 2 women's programs and the football team, since the football season started, they're 41-3.
Right.
I think, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But it's become the new standard, and it really has. And I think Coach Lee talked about it at some point, is it does take a little bit of delusion to think that you can get to that level. And it truly does. To change people's minds, you have to have a little bit of delusion. And so I think when Candace Lee came in, there, and I'm not saying that there was anything like Vanderbilt was in a bad spot. I think she had to have some sort of delusion in her head. It's like, this is where we can get to. And now look what she's built. Look what the people have around her built. And I want to say a funny story because I'm close with the deputy AD, Derrick Grice, over there. And we were at the Missouri Vanderbilt college game day set. And I'm sitting there, we're talking with him, in that, Billy, I was with you in that behind the scenes area or whatever, behind the whole mosh pit and everything. And I'm talking to him and I look at him like, look what you guys have built. Like, take a moment and seriously look what you have built, and being from Nashville and seeing what Vanderbilt has looked like, especially the roller coaster of success and then drastic failure. And then now we're back on this huge high of success. I'm talking to him through it. I'm like, you got to give yourself a pat on the back and applaud yourself here. Like, this is beautiful. It's special. Like, people care that Vanderbilt's cool again. Like it's not just talking about one specific sport. It's talking about the collective sports. But to talk about the football thing, and that was a cool moment that I shared with Derrick there, but to talk about football specifically, winning is contagious, man. Like, winning is so contagious, and especially at the football level. When you get a football team that's winning, then the school becomes a little bit more talked about. ESPN starts talking about it a little bit more. Sports fans start getting involved. Sports media starts getting involved. Like, it's changed everything. And obviously, I think the one that we can point to here is the night when Vanderbilt upset Alabama last year. And, that night we all had a big time with my whole baseball team, with all the football guys. We were all celebrating together, and it was awesome. And then right after that, it's like, all right, here's the switch.
That started everything. Yeah.
Here's the switch. It was kind of like we always knew we were on the up, and that was the light to the fire right there. And so from that point on, we all can agree the entire Vanderbilt notion changed entirely. It was everything was talked about at a positive level. But like I say, winning's contagious, because winning then led to money being donated. Winning then led to the baseball team being the number 1 overall seed. Winning then led to the Huber Center. Winning then led to all these different components of the sports venues, and that's where success gets. That's where it all stimulates from is through the contagious factor of winning. So that's been what I've seen. The outside looking in now, it's been very cool to see from the inside when I was there of what has happened, but now the outside looking in, it's like this is here to stay. And I know Diego talked about it in one of the podcasts, but like, this is why can't Vanderbilt be the best? Why seriously, what's the reason why Vanderbilt cannot be the best athletic school in the SEC? Obviously, academically speaks for its own, and I will never argue with anyone about that. But athletically, why can't Vanderbilt? So I think that's the biggest thing where football has completely elevated and changed all conversations about what Vanderbilt can be for moving forward.
Yeah, and Joe and I have talked about it. Just this season, to have a type of season like this in football after, Joe, you witnessed 2-10. Mark, even your first year at Vanderbilt, had some up and downs with the baseball team. The next season, though, number 1 overall seed, right? And so I think it is special because, Vanderbilt fans and players have seen some really hard times. Clark Lee doesn't ignore that. I mean, you can't. That's part of your DNA, right? It's not the type. It wasn't the type of trajectory like in Alabama, for example, or in Ohio State that has always had top 5, top 10 elite programs, whether it's football, even basketball and baseball. But Vanderbilt really built it on their own, like you said, grassroots. But NIL and the portal, this wouldn't have happened without that. I think we can all agree on that as well. And you have schools like an SMU that you're looking at going, man, that's what they needed. This is what they needed. Texas Tech, right? Some other ACC schools that may not have a ton of tradition, like Virginia this year. It's a lot of it is because of the money. And look, there's some positives and negatives to that. But Mark, you being in the business, Joe, you're in sort of the money business as well. Like, how have you sort of learned that, like, hey, that it can't be everything, but you have to have it? Clark Lee has talked about that too, especially on the business side of it for you, Mark. Like, how have you seen the kind of the impact that money has had on the game? It's always had an impact, but now that it's so prevalent, it's visible now. I mean, we're seeing how much these guys are making, and obviously it's helped Vanderbilt. But you don't want it to cross that line. It can get messy, but you got to kind of strangle it in, just like everything. But how have you seen that sort of in the world you work in? And then Joe, kind of want to get your perspective too, because you have a lot of those, relationships and conversations every day. But Mark, I'll kind of start with you on that.
Yeah, again, like this is the industry that I'm in, so we see this on a day-to-day basis, and it is. I mean, it's there. I mean, it's real. Joe, I know you working on the accounts of some of these guys. Like the money's there, and the money's real. I think from a team perspective, though. And I said this a little bit earlier, but it's adapt or get left behind. Like, if you're not going to be part of this, then you're going to get lost in the dark, and the program's going to go a different direction. I think where you have to find the fine balance between the two is still keeping that team component, that team culture, having that, but also knowing, the elephant in the room here is like, you are valued of some sort. You are going to make some money. Like you are deserving to get that. And I will always say college athletes deserve to be paid. Do I think the NCAA did it the right way? That's for another conversation. That's for another podcast, whatever. But I do think that there's a real team component that has to be there. I mean, it's integral. I mean, look at Indiana this year in football. Like, you think those guys are talking about NIL money all the time, every day? Like, no, that's not. Like, again, we're not in the locker room, so I can't speak directly to it. But I find it hard to believe, just again, outside looking in on a team like that, where they just looked all so meshed together. They all look so bought in. So I say that as that's what the blueprint should be. It should be, team first. Obviously, yes, we are worth some money. And then from my lens of looking at it, like my job is to deal with these things and deal with the off the field money that these fellas are making and whatnot. Like, it's there. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the NCAA will go about the coming years of the rev share and what's next and the lawsuits that are going to follow behind it, because it's ever changing, and we all, us three, we know that. But I think long story short is the team component. It has to come first, and the team has to be the team, because if it's not that, then it's only going to be about money, and if it's about money, then it's going to be down. It's going to drive itself down to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, those are some really great points, man. I pretty much agree with everything you just said. The more money that gets infiltrated into the system, you're going to find out just how mature of a team that you have, or immature of a team that you've brought in, essentially.
Right.
So I think I'm all for the players getting paid. I think it's great. I think they should be able to monetize their brand and all that good stuff. I know, Mark, you work hand in hand with that every single day, and you guys do. Specifically, you do a phenomenal job. So I appreciate everything that you've done for guys at Vandy, wherever those guys are, you guys do a phenomenal job, and you're a big part of that success for them. But you also find out, like I said, how mature or immature the guys in the locker room actually are when a lot of money's brought to the table. I think that's probably why, not 100%, but I think that's a big reason why some of the programs have struggled to find a rhythm consistently with all this new flood of money. But the teams that have the right guys in the locker room, that are focused on the right things, that's being a great person, being a great student, great player, obviously, but doing all things the right way, regardless of the money, that's where the bigger teams from a character perspective come into play and have more success. Obviously, we're going to think of what's going on in Indiana right now, that is just beating everybody like a redheaded stepchild. It is inc- it's wild to
It's
see
true.
a team like that.
Yeah.
But you see guys that are aligned, and and like Mark, you just said, there's no like we don't have ears in the locker room. We're not standing in there. We don't know the conversations, but we do know that they're handling things from a very mature lens because they're going out and taking names right now.
Yep.
And so the more money that gets into this fold, we're going to see how the NCAA handles it. But guys, specifically athletes like these college guys that are making a lot of money, there's a handful of guys on every single team that are kind of in a category of their own with to their peers. Whether that gets talked about or not, it's kind of the elephant in the room. But those guys, they have to be very mature about it. They can set themselves up for life in 1 or 2 years. And I mean that very, very sincerely.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of that those guys are going to be mature about their years in college and going forward into the NFL or the MLB, whatever it looks like. But you got to have a mature, you got to be mature about how you go about this time period because you can be, you can set yourself up or you can actually dig yourself a hole. And so you're forcing 18 to 22-year-old kids to basically make NFL type like mindset decisions and maturity. So when you pull all that money into the fold, you basically throw that used to be a 21, 22, 23-year-old problem.
Yeah.
Now it's an
Mhm.
18-year-old problem.
Hmm.
And man, when I was coming out of high school, I was just trying to learn calculus, man. I was like, that is the hardest thing in the world. I hate doing it, but you know what? That was my focus point. Football. You're forcing a very young man to make very adult decisions,
Yeah.
and I hope that every program, the resources get better to make sure that they're making the right choices and decisions for themselves and the team. But man, right back to what you said, Mark, like keeping the main thing. That's why some of these programs have had a lot of success very quickly because of the character in that locker room.
Well said. Yep. Totally agree.
And it's funny. I don't think there's a better duo, than Barton Simmons, Clark Lee, right? Two NBA guys,
Roll red.
Mark. And but also not just them, like some of the operations. I think Jake Jola, right? The director of operations, but like people like Molly Hart in the baseball program has the same thing. Like there's people, Earl Bennett, who is now working with every sport essentially, baseball, basketball, football, but which I think is a phenomenal role for him. But Mark, I think we could talk for 2-3 hours. I mean, we do. I mean, that's what we do. And when we're not on, we don't have a mic, but I know Joe probably has another one too. With this baseball season coming up, we haven't really talked, much on the diamond.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think Vandy fans are excited too because of the development of guys like a Brody Johnson, Rustin Rigdon, on the mound, Connor Fennell, who I know you're really close with.
Yep.
But you're replacing a lot. But you have, like you said, there was a lot of freshmen, young guys last year that had played a lot of minutes, played a lot of innings, and had a huge role in what you guys were able to do. But what excites you most? Like when you're watching, you'll be in the dugout. You won't be, tossing balls to Corbs anymore,
right.
You'll be there watching. What excites you about the future of the program?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so much to get excited for. I think before I even talk about anything, because you brought up a good point of just unsung heroes. Amy Elkis deserves a shout out because she is an unbelievable person that runs the Vanderbilt baseball program. She's the director of operations is her title, but she's missed everything. I mean, she is truly an unbelievable person who acts as, the big sister or acts as, a therapist to certain guys. Like she's an unbelievable person. So she's one of those people that obviously go hand in hand with the Molly Harts of the world, who I had to shout out. But so to what you were talking about is, this coming season, I mean, what we did last year was very cool. Playing in big time baseball games, playing in this championship environments, and these guys are going to have big summer leagues. Like it's a lot to look forward to, and it's a lot of. I tell this to a lot of people. Last year going into the season, we had a lot of question marks. I think this year there's question marks, but it's not nearly as uncertain. You've got a lot of groundwork of what guys could do and what it could look like. I think, from a pitching lens, Scott Brown and Tyler Herb, they run the pitching commands. Like what you're going to get year in, year out. Those guys are the best of the best. I told Brownie this last year. I was like, you are the best pitching coach at any level. I don't he's at Vanderbilt and he's a college coach at any level. I mean, he's unbelievable. So his bond with the pitchers, it's so cool to watch. I mean, he knows every guy. He knows how they operate and what they go about. And he's another one of those guys that we talked about earlier. Is like being a Corb right-hand man. Like Corb's a success. He's done a lot for himself, but he's also had a lot of help too. And he's hired the right people. So he's one of those guys. I think from a player personnel, you said it right there. I mean, Brody Johnson, how could you not get excited for a guy like that? I mean, his swing it's must watch. It's the reason why a lot of people want to buy a ticket to Hawkins is to go see him play third base and go see him swing the bat from the right side of the box. Like that's what you want to go do. I think, Rustin Rigdon's going to be another one of those fun names to watch this year who played some big time baseball. Braden Holcomb, Mike Mancini. I mean, Mike's a guy who's a super athlete who can play any position anywhere. So he's going to have a really fun role. And they brought in some really good players too. Like they brought in some transfers. They got the Johnstone brothers who are going to be, fun to watch this year. So that adds a whole nother element. I mean, you've got a really good freshman class. You've got speed at all levels. I think the biggest thing that where fans should get excited is the pitching will speak for itself, but bringing in a new hitting coach, especially a hitting coach that knows the culture of Vanderbilt, that has performed at Vanderbilt, that's performed at an all SEC level. Like having Espo over there, I don't know him personally because I wasn't there with him, but everything that I've heard throughout the grapevines of people talking about him, it's only been good things, and it gets me excited for the fellas this year. But there's so many guys that you can talk about. I think the pitching staff will look really good. You talked about, Connor Fennell, who's one of my close friends, and we talk a lot. I think Austin Nye is a superstar. I think he's going to be one of those names where people and kids especially are going to want to spend top dollar to get his jersey because who knows how much it's going to sell for one day. So he's going to be a really fun name to watch. And then I think the reason why Vanderbilt has such a promising problem to have is because what I'm about to say is Game 3. Yeah, but we don't really know. I don't know who it could be. It could be anyone. But it could be anyone, and it's a good anyone. There's so many guys you can plug and play into that Game 3 slot where they're going to do their thing. I mean, last year Fennell was a perfect example. I mean, the guy didn't start throwing, until I don't know midway through the season of starting baseball games, and then he became the guy
before the season. Who would have thought that Fennell would be,
Exactly.
one of the best pitchers and your day 3 guy? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? But that's what I'm saying. That's what I say is the development that Brownie and Corbs and Tyler Herb and all the coaching staff over there, Blank too. Everyone over the development. It's not like it stops day one of the season. No, it evolves. It gets significantly better throughout the season. And Connor Fennell, he's one of those examples of last year. So who's going to be that guy this year? That's what's going to be must see TV this year is to watch the VandyBoys do their thing on the diamond and see who's the next big name and the next superstar in the making.
And then the next step is getting Joe Bulovas to the park for some
right. That's right. Or shoot, we got to put him in the box. I want to see a 470-foot home run out of Hawkins with those guys on this guy.
Man, back in the day, I could put one over the left field wall pretty quickly, but it's been a while since I swung a bat. Man, I always kind of like to ask a few kind of lighthearted questions, and I know we're coming up on a little bit of time here, but I know baseball guys, they're some of the biggest pranksters on this planet. What is the funniest one that you have witnessed in the Vandy locker room, on a bus ride and hotel? What takes the cake on that? Maybe one that's a little, maybe PG.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part. Like I'm running through memories, and to keep it PG is going to be difficult. One of my best friends is JD Rogers, and that's all I need to say for anyone that watches this. JD Rogers he won the Omaha Challenge 4 times, so he's the strongest guy I've ever met in my life. But I've got stories on him for days. I think, there's so many different ones that we could do. There's always some funny ones that I could talk about around Corbs. I think, something that we always have implemented every year was at the Christmas party, which we do the day before everyone goes back home to celebrate for Christmas holiday season and whatnot. So we always have a VandyBoys like Christmas party together where it's our team, it's our coaches, it's only us. And so what we always do is we would form a video essentially that mimics or mocks, depending on how you want to take it, with some of our coaches and coaching staff. So Forbes, who is obviously my greatest mentor ever, he's the most disciplined person I know. He's worked out for, I'm not kidding when I say it, probably 1,800 straight days at this point. I don't even know what it is. But one thing that he does is like he loves to get on the sleds. He loves to push the sleds. He loves to do that. So like I'm always the type to, talk to them about that stuff, but making those videos about each specific coach, whether it's the strength coordinator, which we had so many things there, whether it could be the trainers, whether it could be anything, we would always make like this movie, and then we would show it at these Christmas things, and it would have people howling. Like I'm remembering things right now, and it was such a cool thing, and it was honestly, it was something that guys probably put in more effort on that video itself than studying for certain exams while they were at Vanderbilt. So you can go to that goes to show like what the video looked like, what the production was behind it, and things of that nature. But that's the one that jumps off to my mind that's PG related. Everything else we'll have to talk about off cameras, and I'm happy to share with any of the viewers at any point.
I figured that might be the case.
No doubt.
Well, it's funny with the football team too. Like, and Diego has said this in press conferences before. About Coach Lee, and he's told us, he's like, what I think he was asked, like, what's one of the things that Coach Lee does that maybe people don't know, or may not realize about him, or like that, that's funny that the guys may laugh at. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, anytime Coach Lee does the old
Rubs his head.
He's like, anytime he's like stressed out,
Yeah.
like that's how something's coming from Coach. And I think Clark Lee, he's the kind of guy that would laugh at that, right? But like he's I know there's been some of that on the football team, Joe.
Yeah, we had a guy, Quincy did one year where he like got up in front of guys. I think it was a whole team room. I don't know if Coach Lee gave him the green light on this. Like he knew beforehand he was about to get mocked or something, but I think I want to say he was laughing the whole time. But he's like, did the whole head rub thing. He acting like he was going through a presentation. He's like, did I see a hand up there? What did you have something to say? Go ahead. And he had a couple guys who were in on it, and then they would ask like, Coach, I just had a question. It was like something not even closely related to football, and then he was like, that's a really good question. Let's talk about that for a second. And so he like did this for like 10-15 minutes, and I think Coach was like sitting in the audience with us, and we just didn't know he was there. I think it might have even been during fall camp, because like fall camp could be some dog days. It's long. You get there at 6, you don't leave till like 9, and so we did something similar, but it was not nearly to that scale. And heck, I didn't want any reason for Coach Lee to have it out for me. So I just just took it back.
We talk about the Clark Lee isms, and man, there's a lot of those, a lot of Corbin isms. I mean, just to be around, I think for anybody that's played for Clark Lee, and Vandy hasn't had, I'm waiting on the first Vandy football baseball combo, and I'm trying to remember. I know there's been football basketball, and I think Mark, we've talked about this, and I know Corbin's had, whether it's Franklin, I know him and Franklin are really close still. I don't think it's quite worked out yet, but that would be interesting, especially right now. Getting you got Clark Lee, and then you go to Corbin, once your season's over. But that'd be quite the duo. But something I'm interested in too, and as we wrap up, what do you have? Like what does your like day-to-day look like now? Anything big coming up? I know you'll be at some basketball games, and then the baseball season kicking back up. And basketball team is unbelievable. But what you got around the pipe? And again, I can't thank you enough. Like I said, we could do this for a couple hours, man.
100%. Yeah. I mean, everything on my end, obviously working at CAA on the football side. Football is insane right now. So that's been really fun to do. We just talked about it before we hopped on, watching Josh Allen finally get a win. He's a client of ours who is, he's obviously a superstar football player, but he's hopefully going to win a Super Bowl this year as well. So I mean, Super Bowl coming up is going to be great. I think from a Vandy lens, how can you not want to be at Memorial at any of these games? I mean, I'm 2-0 on the going to Memorial for the SEC games. So I got to watch them, kick that Tide tail on Wednesday night, and then was over there yesterday watching the LSU show go down. But yeah, I mean, if you're in Nashville and you don't go to Memorial, like that's on you. It's an experience. I mean, and Billy, there might be some bias between you and I talking about Memorial from the way we have grown up and been able to watch iconic games there. But I tell everyone it's one of the coolest sporting venues I've been to, and I've been across, football and baseball and basketball places all the time. But Memorial's it's one of its own. Like, I mean, thankfully they have air conditioning now. So that has been a huge addition to the arena.
So hot at the Alabama game.
A bunch of Vandy grads finally figured out how to throw AC in that thing.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, like I tell this to everyone and I know Coach Byington talked about it in a press conference. Was like, what, get here, like we're legit, like we're for real. And again, like I know it takes some time to build that and build the trust with the fans, but if 16-0 doesn't say it, I don't know what else does. So as a fan myself, but also as a local just Nashvilleian, if you're from Nashville and you got some time, go watch the boys put on a show. I mean, you got superstars all across the floor. It's a fun style of basketball. It's not like you're watching 1985 basketball. It's a fun run and gun, shoot threes, get rebounds, play physical. Like it's a fun team to support. And again, like I said from when we talked earlier, was winning is contagious. You see it from a men's and a women's lens. Like the women's team is awesome too. They're fun to watch. They've got superstars all across the court. They got a hell of a coach doing their thing too. And so it's going to be really fun is to watch both of these programs go on their run of March Madness, hopefully do something, very important, very special, and bring rings and trophies back to Memorial, and then watching the fellas do their thing on the diamond in the spring. I think everyone knows, like, once springtime rolls around, when the weather's out, the sun's nice, there's nothing better than going to Hawkins Field and watching a Tim Corbin Classic. Like, it is as good as it gets. It gets me chills saying it right now because that's when it's fun. When SEC baseball rolls around, when you got the Vols coming to Nashville this year, you got Texas coming to Nashville this year, like, you're going to have top programs come to town. So if Hawkins isn't sold out, then that's on the Vandy fandom, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You can count me in for being at all those things. So I'm a man on word. I'll be there.
You heard it here first. Get to Memorial. Get to Hawkins Field, and in the right field. I think it may be similar to the football setup. How I'm interested to ask Corbin about it. How they'll probably be nailing the last nail in maybe before the first SEC game, but. I know there's been some pictures out there about that, but it looks really nice. Yeah. And Hawkins is going to look really different here in the next 2-3 years. I mean, the entire, Forest Athletics Village. I've told people I wish I could snap my fingers and just have it look like, but it's already changing a lot. I mean, Joe, you've been down there working out and going to practice. Like it's pretty cool. But Mark, can't thank you enough. And I know, we'll be talking. We'll stay in touch. And I was about to joke, like, Joe, I think we've got our third co-host. We got a permanent guest here. I'm like, I could have Mark on there.
I was about to say, man, if you got time, you for another side job, we might just hire you over here.
Well, we'll see what the schedule allows. But no, seriously, fellas, like y'all are awesome. I told you from the start of this thing, I'm a fan of what you guys do. Y'all ask great questions. You talk to the right people, and as a fan, as a supporter of the show, but as a fan and supporter of the university, it goes a long way. And I know I can speak to a lot of different people who agree with me there. But seriously, y'all are the best. I appreciate the time, and go Doors.
We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Have a good one, man.
All right, fellas.